Hey, lovelies. Welcome back. We are back with Jen, Maven COO. We couldn't get enough and felt like we really needed to wrap it up or explore further some tangible ways to use your values and create company culture that you really want. Because as we mentioned before, culture exists. It's whether or not you are a part of it to help guide where you want your company to be.
Welcome to Heart and Head Work, the podcast for women who want to lead with strategy and soul.
I'm Tessa, the people connector who embraces vulnerability and dreams big.
And I'm Rocky, the strategist who thrives on logic and turns vision into action.
We combined our superpowers and founded Maven, a community that empowers women.
Including Maven District, the largest collective of women-owned small businesses in the world.
This podcast is for women like you, building something real and wanting more than just business advice.
You'll hear honest conversations, practical tools, and personal stories about what it actually takes to build purpose-driven businesses.
If you're building with your whole self, heart and head, this is a space for you.
Join us on the journey.
So, Jen, thank you for saying yes again.
Always.
Yeah, thanks for still being here. Per usual.
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, we love
Every
you.
day. I'll even bring marshmallows next time.
I
want
know.
how
I don't
Coco-
actually know why she was allowed in here without marshmallows.
That's not something. She does not have to show up with presents to be loved by us. Untrue. Okay, let's talk values and let's talk culture. Last episode, we dove deep on where our values are, love and curiosity. And we want to talk this time about how to use them to create the culture you need. And one of the things we want to kick off, Jen, tell us why values need to be everywhere.
Oh, the pressure. Heavy hitting questions right off the top. So I think for values to really work in a company, right, you have to be able to not just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. And it's how I think we came to the ones we came up with, that we decided on because we knew they were part of our, just like our core, right? And so it has to be everywhere. If I personally can't exemplify those values, if I can't walk that walk, then I can't hold Tessa or Rocky accountable to that.
Or our team.
Right, we're a team. And if the three of us can't do it, then we can't hold our team accountable. We can't empower them to exemplify those values or create the results that we are working towards. So, and it has to be in alignment with where we want to go, where we would like to foster both the professional and personal development of ourselves, our team, and our community. So it has to be everywhere. It has to be what we live and breathe.
How did you help us make it consistent?
Oh, I think there's obviously us always talking about it, right? This is a part of the reason we spoke about having to actually put words to what our values are. So that's the first piece. You have to define it. You have to put the words to it. And everyone on your team has to know what those are at the drop of a hat, right? What are your values? You all say them. That sounded a little bit like a cult, but it's not.
No, I mean, it's it's the non-negative connotation of the word cult. It's culture.
Oh, cute.
Always
you were here
for
for
a
the
pun.
pun.
Waiting for it.
Uh-huh. And the Maven way. What is the Maven way?
Just in the Maven way. And then from there, creating the practical processes and systems that allow yourself and your team members to exemplify those values, right? So we don't tell them how to show love. We give them the space and the guide rails to do that. We don't tell them the questions to ask. We allow them to explore. And from there, we use those values as the tools to get to the result, right? We say we are trying to lease a space. We're trying to fill a class. We're trying to hire whatever. And we don't look at just the goal. We look at love, curiosity as the way we get there. So if we're functioning with those values, if we're acting within those values, then we ultimately get what we need because we're looking for the right thing.
Yeah, that the business can now receive the potential goal without having to micromanage our way through it.
Absolutely.
That we can empower them, which should be true no matter what your mission is. Ours just happens to be that we are here to empower women. So we hire women and try to empower them internally. But ultimately, you can't give them every single answer as a leader. That would be impossible. And you would become this crazy bottleneck. So I love that you brought that up, because that is such an important element of how do you micromanage? You give them a goal and then you give them no guide rails. How do you empower someone? You give them a goal and you give them the guide rails so they can work in the gray, which is what we always call it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And then around that, I mean, we're here. I know we've talked a lot about the backstory and how we got to the values and the feelings and how we brought our individual experiences to this, but that there's a practicality, right? We run a business, right? So it can't be, I hate to say it can't be feelings all the time. I love feelings. But it's really about acknowledging how to manage or how to combine, right, that people first with our business interests. And so we do that through a number of different ways, right? So we have some non-negotiables that allow us to honor our commitment to our values. So
what's one of those, Jen?
Yeah,
I was just gonna say I'm on the edge of my seat. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Okay, so we have the traditional, I would say traditional things, birthdays, retreats, right? And those are multifaceted in terms of their purpose, right? There's a lot of like interpersonal growth in there, but also we got to sprinkle in a little bit of the business and professional development. And then we have some what I would call like other business rituals. So weekly stand-ups, team meetings, those types of things, one-on-one development. And we made a decision as an executive team on how we structured those things, right? So our weekly stand-ups and our team deep dives, we call them our deep dives, are really focused around our business objectives, right? And then our one-on-one meetings are focused more on the personal and professional development of each individual team member. So that was a hard transition for me, coming from like a corporate world, to be like, hey, I'm going to spend the next 45 to 60 minutes with you talking about, well, whatever you want to talk to me about. Doesn't even have to be work related. That was like a real mind bender.
Well, yeah, because that's not taught in I would say American company culture, because I'm not familiar with other cultures, but in America, the capitalist approach to things is we make money, you are an asset to make us money. That is your function as an employee. So if I ask you how you feel, that could derail my objective of getting money, and this is in fact a huge fallacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
it also is, I would say, part of the genius of this next generation is I think they nudged at us and maybe not, maybe it's where we were on our personal journeys ourselves, but I think they nudged us, hey, we want to be our whole selves, and we want you to see us as whole humans. There's a demand for this generation that they want to have purpose at work. They want to care about what they're doing. They don't want to come in, punch a clock, go home. They want to believe in what they're doing. And I think that is the piece that's helped us lean into that, as well. I mean, I've been trying to be a whole human my whole life, but to really get that to bleed into our culture in every step of the way, I think it is shocking to a lot of people in the business world. But for us, it's like, it's the Maven way. We've got to do it. This is the way that is it's in our DNA.
Yeah, I think, that really goes back to that. All of us had to have the buy-in in our values, right?
Mm-hmm.
We knew that this is how we wanted to function and operate. And if we could stay committed to that, then we would find the successes where they were. Rocky always likes to say, right, work smarter, not harder.
Wise words, Rocky.
I'm going to let you take credit for that.
Yeah, it's not my quote, actually.
Okay. But this sentiment really, I think, we think about it in the corporate world, we think about it in the business sense, and our most impactful application of this is for people. If we let our people show up as their whole selves, if we learn how to understand people and stop trying to change them in the ways that don't matter in how they work, then we are working smarter, right? We are people first. We are truly people first because we let people just show up in the way that they need to. And I don't think anyone can argue that our values are contradictory to how people want to show up in the world.
Yeah, and this even goes into like how we hire. And, again, the key to values is applying them at every point. The way you hire, the way you train, the way you even fire potentially or move someone on to a different career. But the hiring factor of we don't hire for skill set because it's not in alignment with our values. We actually hire for the values and we can teach the skill set. Because in a lot of ways, you can't teach the hard work. You can teach how to manage it and how to apply it and, grow it, but you can't teach curiosity. You can't teach tenacity. Tessa, I think, said this in the last episode. So what we can teach is this other.
It's the head work. It's the harder, right? Heart work is the harder thing to teach, right? So no matter what your values are, right, you have established them, and then you look for that in people, and then you're not trying to find something that's contradictory to what you're building your team with, and staying with that love and curiosity and encouraging our team at every step to embrace that. So that is, with the community, with management, with their coworkers, it's, we as a team can very much be individual contributors, right, in just the way we work. And one of the things we knew is we had to try to make the team a little bit more cohesive. That's part of that value talk, right? If everybody's working under these same values, we have that thread that links us all together, and that it allows everybody to function as a team. It reinforces what we ultimately want, which is teamwork, community building, right? Resourcefulness, problem solving, all of those things. But we're doing it by just building the lanes through our values.
This idea of individualism to teamwork makes me think of an important element that isn't just true to Maven, but it's true in general. We call it the oxygen mask, and I would love you to be able to share that because that's ensuring the strength of individualism so that you can contribute as a team member, which is, deep.
It is deep. And I'll put a slightly different spin on this.
Please do.
If that's okay. So, this idea that you need to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others is, I think, a pretty known saying, right? It's hard to practice, right? It's something that we at Maven really wanted to encourage, because we knew, coming from our professional backgrounds, we wanted to be able to create that for ourselves and each other, but we wanted to be able to instill that in our team and really show our team how to practice that. My personal spin on it as well is that even if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, you have to take a moment to assess your resources, right? This is where you gauge where you're at first. So it's always a self-check. Whether you need that oxygen mask or not, you gauge where you're at first, and then you share your resources. So that's whether that's helping other people get their oxygen mask on, or you need the oxygen first, whatever that looks like, right? So it's where we talk about the self first, right? Which I know just sounds so selfish.
Oh, look at you putting puns together. The self to the self.
But it's not selfish.
No, it is not.
It's not. So this is a mind shift, right? This is the same thing. This where I said those one-on-ones and the behavior, and I was just like, I don't want to talk about your feelings for an hour. I want to talk about the projects that we need to get done and the tasks, right? And that, and this was my version of I had the resource, right, in terms of the task driven and projects. I needed to help the people on our team put on their oxygen mask, get themselves together, get themselves to a place where they could move forward. And
not taught overnight, not a skill taught in
not taught overnight. It was tricky for sure. And I fumbled a lot, but we got through it, I think.
I mean, I still struggle with this.
But so it's a self-check first, right? So where you're at. And sometimes you'll find that you don't need that mask at all because you're good.
Because you've been taking care of yourself.
You've been
weeding the garden every day. So there's only like one little sprout. And that might just be some quiet time in the morning. And then you're good to go help other people. Your cup is full.
And this again, this concept allows us to be consistent with our values, right? Love yourself, be curious about yourself. And this allows ourselves and our team to explore that freely, right?
I like this. I like this in particular to mention because if you are attempting to build a culture that is value driven, what we're doing is not unique to Maven. The ethos of self to give to others, to then allow that to be a pay it forward from there. Any version of a value system that you come up with, you can use that application, that tool of, are you first asking if value is X? Are you first asking to have that value strengthened in yourself before you go out and try to strengthen it in something else? That ripple effect.
Yeah. And I do think it makes things, it really simplifies any sort of conflict that you have, right? If regardless of whether it is how we acted on a project or how we acted with a team member, the first question we ask is, what value is this upholding?
Or not upholding.
Or not upholding. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So if it falls outside of that, it doesn't invalidate that feeling or the action, but does it align with our core values? And we just know from experience that anytime we start to feel off, it's because we're out of alignment with one of those things that we've identified, right? So as you're building your team culture, you might find that it shifts, right? Your values might shift a little bit based on where you're at in your life or where your business goes or what you're trying to create. But like I said, you just pick your core, right? And always work towards those things.
Yeah, I think we can all think of times in our lives at work where someone was maybe not representing the value.
Yeah, no matter what your 3 pieces are, or 2 pieces or 4 pieces, they're very integral to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole system is upheld by all of it. And this idea of evolution, like Jen just mentioned, is super important too, because as your business is not stagnant, it does not stay the same, right? You have to pivot, you have to evolve, you have to shift. So do your values. Your mission and your vision are so big that they probably don't have to change that much because there's such a far-reaching component. They're the dreams, but the values are what you practice every day. That's why we're attaching them to things like rituals, is because how can you make it right now happen? And the right now is going to shift dynamically as you move towards your mission or vision. And I think that's also a really important thing to put up is, we probably called it 3 words before this, and we called it 3 words before that, and we called it a different 3 words.
And they all are closely related. But
Probably,
every time
yeah.
you can add refinement, gives clarity.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I think there's something interesting that's within here is because, we've got these guide rails of these values, but everyone, and then we talk about everybody showing up at themselves over and over again, but everyone is also different. We have hired for these particular values or brought them on as tenants for these particular values, but we also really want people to show up as individuals. Can you talk about some of the ways that we explore the individuality of each person and why you think that that's important?
We have continued to talk about allowing people to show up as their whole selves. This is something that is easy to say and hard to do, right? Because, again, we run a business, right? So I want everybody to show up as their whole selves, but I also need them to be unified in the job we're trying to get done. I want to be able to be part of a team that allows everybody to bring their individual talents, and not just their talents or their skill set, but their actual individuality. Oh, you guys.
It's a hard word.
Okay, so I would like everyone to individually show up as themselves.
Boom, nailed it.
Let's talk through things like some of the ways we've gone about that in a tangible way. Strength Finder, Human Design, Enneagram.
I actually think even though this showing up as yourself is really embraces all parts of our value system, the big one is curiosity, right? Because you guys, we spend a lot of time together, not just the 3 of us, but our team, the whole. We are 10 people, and that is triple what we had a couple of years ago, but it is still a small team, right? We spend a lot of time together. We work very closely on all the projects, and it's so important to keep asking questions to each other, right? To discover how we work in conflict, what are our individual strengths and weaknesses. We do that, like Tessa mentioned, through a bunch of, personality tests, or we like the Enneagram tests, because those are all little peeks inside of each other, which allow us to work better.
Well, yeah, because going back to culture in normal business, if you are my coworker and I am your coworker, and all we are supposed to do is work, I don't actually need to know anything about you. But the crazy part is I spend 40 hours a week with you. That's more time than I might spend with my husband or my kids, right? So the idea of removing that person and defining them solely by their work role and not as a human is super contradictory if we actually just think about it for a hot moment. How can you have just a transactional relationship with someone who you spend more time with than anyone else, potentially anyone more important, quote unquote, in your life? That's the messed up part about how businesses have approached this. And what I'm hearing from you is this idea that well, hey, like I'm an individual, you're an individual. We should probably learn about each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about, right. Like puzzle pieces, right?
Ooh, I love a good analogy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you need all the pieces, right? And every piece is going to be just a little bit different, but it all fits together. And, you know, I really think that we're at such a tricky place, right? Where we're trying to build a community, but also recognize each individual, what each individual piece brings. And sometimes that can feel conflicting, right? Which is, again, I think why it's so important to focus on the values versus the behavior.
That we can share values. Just like we proved in the last episode, we can all share the same value, but we can come at it from a different
right. Yeah, this
standpoint.
is this idea of like different love languages or different work methodologies, right? Actually, I'm going to turn to Tessa. Tessa and I have very different work styles.
Ooh, I would love to dive into the polarizing opposition. I'm just kidding, but great example.
Right, but I do want to talk about that more.
Yeah,
Yes.
like we have very different work styles, but we need both of those in order to function, right? That way we can stop each other from bottlenecking projects individually. Toe stepping, all of those things. And it has taken us lots of rounds to figure out how we work together. And that's something that we really want to be able to translate throughout our team, because you have to be able to work through those things to create that team cohesiveness, right? Like it can't be.
Not everyone on the baseball team is a pitcher. You can't have that. You got to have a catcher. You got to have a hitter.
Analogies.
But you're all playing the same game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that this has become a little more commonplace, but is still weird for people, for companies to be thinking about this whole human approach. But it does actually make good business sense too, because it's not just about seeing the other people as humans so you can enjoy who you're working with, but it also from a productivity standpoint and, getting people in the correct lanes based on knowing them as humans, as their strengths, as their weaknesses. Can we put people in their genius zones? Can we take people out of the places that they're just keep running against a brick wall and say, hey, it's great that you want to do that. We're going to take a break from that and put you back in your genius zone. And you guys, probably why you looked at me, you and I do have very different work styles. And you know that putting me in a place that I'm going to have to create a operational process is probably not the best use of my skill set, right? But if you put me in a room with someone or a huge group of people and you go create a partnership with that person and figure out a way you can work with them, that's genius zone stuff, right? So that is just like, the more we know about each other and the more I understand how Rocky needs to work in conflict, or how she knows that if I'm in conflict, I'm going to probably cry. And now I know when she's in conflict, her voice may get elevated where I'm taking it as anger, but she's just taking it as I'm trying to get you to understand me. So she's elevating her voice. That understanding has taken the temperature out of the room, if that makes sense. And it's brought it back to a more neutral space. And that is why we're trying to get to know each other on a very deep level. Not just between the three of us, but between our team, between, our clients, between our tenants, between people we serve. It makes good business sense.
I would agree. I mean, if we together cohesively can have these values, share them, embrace each other individually, bring it together and be a collective towards, it's just, again, like all these building blocks that you get to then step back and look at the beautiful structure. That is what I think we're driving towards. That is value-driven company with a culture that is at the core. And that culture is just constantly going to bleed out in the best kinds of way. So
yeah. Can I give us a, because I want to talk more about work styles in a future episode.
Absolutely.
But you just brought up such a great ender. Can we all end with our love language?
Oh,
Here
how
for
we
it.
give or how we like to receive?
Ooh, I mean,
Both.
if you've got a moment for either, I would, if you think they're different.
Rocky.
Jen.
That's not how this works.
My love language, both to give and receive, is I don't actually like the term affirmations. It is words. Sharing love through words and receiving love through words is the most meaningful to me. And the one furthest from me, which I also think is an interesting one to think about, is physical touch. Sorry, husband. I love you. It makes me sticky.
Yep. I love staying in a hug a moment too long for Rocky's sweatiness.
Good.
Jen.
Ooh, I think both of mine are acts of service. So I really value when I am able to give my time to someone, and I really value when someone is able to give their time to me to just think about me in more than like a momentary way.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Is it quality of time? Is that the love language, or is it actually active service?
No, it's the act of service.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is why you and my husband get along so well. You're similar in that. Mm-hmm. That's helpful.
Wait, which one are you furthest from? If you know.
Is it gift giving? Is it what's
Gift giving is one of them.
Yeah, gift giving. I mean, I love the thought that goes into gifts, but I love thinking about how much time like someone put into the thoughtfulness that someone put into the gift versus like the gift itself.
Yeah, this is what I was guessing about quality of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably like second or something.
Uh-huh.
That makes sense.
My love language, no surprise for the two of you, because you very much know how to celebrate me. I love quality time. Connecting with the people I love is my most favorite thing in the world to receive. And I love gifting it. However, I think one of the ways I like to be flexible in that is trying to understand what their love language is. So if their love language is not quality time, I do actually enjoy giving gifts because I do like that pre-thought. But as much as I like giving them, for me, the gift when I receive it is not important other than understanding that they took the time to think about what I might love. So, yeah. And what I'm furthest from, validation.
Words of affirmation?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Although I don't like
enjoy
the
words,
affirmation.
I like to give words, but I don't feel like that's something that I need when I think of affirmation.
Well, I mean, surprise.
But words,
Only
yeah.
five love languages is too small.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
We can't work within this
Yeah.
framework. We need more. But also the recognition that I bet our love languages have shifted and changed. And that's another thing to keep
age.
thinking about people as we think about human-centric. They are not the same person at every moment. They become different every time you give and take and receive and all of that. And that shifts. And so that's also important to keep in mind that your culture is an ever-shifting, ever-evolving creature that requires a lot of time because it's a living being.
Yeah. Wrap us up, Rocky.
I love hearing all of this stuff, but if you're anything like me, there is the moment of, oh, wait, what am I supposed to do with the information? So I think it's really important that we just do some key takeaways about how to build a value-driven team culture. Everything we talked about was essential, but in summary, 1, prioritize well-being. This means empower your team to care for themselves first. This balanced, healthy team ultimately just creates more results from a business side, from an organizational side, everything in between. Number 2, you have to embrace the whole self approach to leadership. You need to encourage the authenticity of your team members and ask them and encourage them to show up as their full selves. There is nothing better than working with the humans that you work with. 3, there is people first and there is accountability, and the ability to balance those two things is a high priority. Care for your team as an individual while also setting clear expectations and allowing them to maintain performance standards as a team. 4, build meaningful rituals, because through consistency comes clarity. I can't stress that enough. Create traditions like retreats, birthday celebrations, weekly check-ins, but ultimately do so in the intention of fostering connection and a sense of belonging. 5, invest in growth and feedback. Use those one-on-one check-ins, create transparency, talk about everything at a very personal level when you have the opportunity to do so, because you are nurturing your team's potential. By blending all of these 5 ideas, prioritize well-being, embracing whole self leadership, balancing people first with accountability, building meaningful rituals, and investing in growth and feedback. By doing that, you are ultimately blending empathy, empowerment, and ritual so that you can have a thriving, value-driven culture wherever you are, and that your team will always feel supported and inspired to succeed. That is the ultimate goal of business. It's just a slightly different way to go about it. And there is nothing more important than making sure that you have that value-driven team culture. Thank you guys so much for being willing to join us for this journey. We are absolutely thrilled to be able to have a place to put all the things that we hold so high in value, no pun intended, but of course it is intended. And give us some feedback. Like I said, we're open to it. Like we've expressed, we care about what you guys think, because we are creating this content ultimately for you to better your business. And that's really, really a way for us to evolve and do better. You can rate us, which would be fantastic if it's a 5-star, but no pressure. You can also join us on Geneva, which is our digital community, or follow us on Instagram at maven.community. But I would also like to throw in that we have a little special treat for this episode, because it is our very special episode. We have some content built out for you that you can download, because no doubt you are doing something other than writing down notes. Please don't do that. We can do that for you. You can actually go to our description and download a PDF of the 5 things that we just chatted through, those key takeaways to build a value-driven team culture. That way you can use that tool in your toolbox for the future as you are building your business. And we are so excited to share some more with you later. Thank you again.
Thank you, lovelies.
Thank you.
Love you, partners.
Love you, partners.
Oh, love you guys.
Thanks, Jen. You're a fucking badass. We love you. Okay, bye.
Love you.
No touching. Bye-bye.